Class, today's topic is going to be about gun control and my support of the Second Amendment. I'd like to begin by extending my thoughts and prayers to the victims and families who lost a loved one during the recent shootings that took place in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Unfortunately, 4 U.S. Marines were shot and killed at a military recruiting office. I'd like to remind everybody that now is not the time to parade around photos of terrorists, the crime scenes they created, demanding for more gun control. I am against disarming American citizens, period, and I support the statements of Dakota Meyer, who was a U.S. Marine, when he was live on CNN, and he said that a full institution of the Second Amendment must be upheld so that we may defend ourselves as a country against foreign and domestic threats. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to share some statistics and stories that will hopefully encourage you guys to see my point of view about gun control. Let me begin with a short history lesson. In 1911, Turkey established gun control. In over a 2-year span, Turkey rounded up and executed 1.5 Armenian citizens. The Armenians were unable to defend themselves because they had no weapons. Shortly afterwards, in 1929, the Soviet Union did the same thing and established gun control. Guess what happened? This time, about an estimated 20 million people were rounded up and killed. The third country I'd like to talk to you guys about is pretty, let's say, recent. In 1939, Germany established gun control. And within a few years, guess what? They rounded up and exterminated an estimated 13 million Jews. Now, I received all this information out of one of my favorite websites. It's www.patriotpaw.us. I browse the articles at this website very often because I'm interested in some of the topics that they talk about, such as some of this history I just mentioned to you guys. Now, there's one thing that we should find in common with all three of these countries is they established gun control and lots of people were killed. I believe that gun control is a catalyst for genocide. Think about it, guys. Millions of defenseless people were rounded up and exterminated. Now do you understand why I believe that gun control is more dangerous than the actual weapon itself? The next point I'd like to make is a point about right and wrong. Murder. Murder is illegal, and criminals are people who break the law. So, let's talk about some things that affect us here at home a little more, such as the cities of Detroit and Chicago. Now, I live in Dallas, Texas, and carrying a weapon is common. So, unfortunately, in the city of Detroit, it is not very common. Detroit has some of the strictest gun restrictions and laws that are pretty discouraging for people who want to own a weapon. Also, Detroit has the second highest homicide rate in the entire nation. Next city, let's talk about Chicago. Chicago had the highest homicide rate in 2012 with over 500 homicides. In 2 months, they had more than 40 people killed with guns. We're not talking about hand-to-hand combat killings either. These are just homicides that were as a result of the use of a gun. So, the city of Chicago, for a very, very long time, banned any gun shops in the city, period. In 2010, the U.S. Supreme Court said, you guys are going too far. That's illegal. So, the city leaders just established more restrictions, which made it just about the same. It's hard to find a gun store in the city of Chicago. According to the FBI, all these statistics I just told you guys, guns or gun control doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be safer. Obviously, people are getting killed more often where guns are less available. So, I recently read, last Easter actually, I read an article from Time Magazine, and it was about the city of Chicago. In 2014, over Easter weekend, there were 45 people who were shot and killed. Now, I love Easter weekend, and many people celebrate Easter weekend as well. Just imagine in the city, one weekend, 45 people were shot and killed. Of those 45 people, 10 of them were children. Now, I hate to think about this stuff, guys, but I want you to keep something in mind. The reason I support the Second Amendment and I am against gun control is so I can protect myself, my family, and my loved ones. The Second Amendment wasn't drafted so we can have a firearm to hunt with. The Second Amendment was drafted so we can protect ourselves and not from other people that live next door to us, but from the government and from tyrant leaders who want to control you, me, and who knows who else. So I encourage you guys to live by your rights and not be afraid and not be a victim. The worst thing we can do is hand over our guns to people who want to use guns to take our guns. I don't see that being very fair. God bless America. Hope to talk to you guys soon.